My name is Mark, and I appreciate you joining in today's webinar, Managing Real Estate Marketing with PageProof. And I'm actually very excited to have one of my colleagues, Natalia, join us to really take the reins here and share all of her knowledge on PageProof and how not only integrates very well with Monday.com, but becomes a very essential and powerful tool for real estate firms and, of course, other businesses that are looking for opportunities to really take their marketing exercises in a more robust, but also more accountable fashion. If you are new to our Tuesdays with Monday operation here as a webinar, just a quick overview of kind of the order of operations. What we'd like to do is really make this a very filled session where we're going to talk about real action, real use cases. And this is going to be largely not held on by a slideshow, but real views inside of Monday.com and PageProof. Natalia, if you can jump to the fourth slide here, what I'd like to talk about really quickly is our role here at Purple Plum is to serve as not only a consultant, but also use our experience and expertise to help businesses of all sizes be more effective in their usage of project management tools, but also allow for a single source of truth and true accountability within their organization. Some of the ways that real estate professionals benefit from PageProof, as you can see, we have a couple of different examples up here. It really depends, obviously, based on what your company is doing and where you're at. But there is so much in the world of what marketing needs are met by PageProof and Monday.com, and the full integration into a larger Monday.com installation is really what this is all about. And so with that, Natalia, if you can go one slide forward, please. I'll bring up one other point here. And in fact, this is something that you might want to speak to. There's a great deal of different ways that integration, what that might mean, and what Monday.com and PageProof can actually allow for. Natalia, do you want to talk about this slide here a little bit and kind of get us started?
Yeah. So in Monday.com, there is a way to have proofing features in there, but they're going to be really, really basic features for the most part. We won't be able to really write over things and have that red pen kind of feature that a lot of people like to use. We aren't able to privatize any comments or have a workflow when it comes to the people that you would like to review. It's really just, it's going to be there. Everyone's going to see it, and there's not as much organization. Where PageProof does offer all of these features and more, making it very, very easy and clear for everyone to know which phase in the proof we might be, who left those comments, and what might need to be action on, as well as even just very clearly seeing different versions that are happening throughout the proofing process.
Great. And I'm just curious, not to break it too much here, but what do you find of these? I think it's about 10 items that we have up on here. Where do you find that the customers that you serve are most excited about? What's the maybe aha moment or the need, right? What brings them to looking at PageProof and Monday integration?
The workflows is a really big one, just being
Okay.
able to set up, first we're going to have this group of reviewers. And then once those people review and we make any changes that might need to happen, we're going to then send it over to this next group. Again, keeping everything very clean and organized. And it's also a great tool because those reviewers don't necessarily need to have a login into PageProof, making it easier to have, clients, contractors, whoever you might be working with that's outside of the company to be able to leave their comments and their feedback on those proofs.
That's really interesting. So with the real world examples of we have different colleagues, but also different constituents that need to be addressed, giving them an easy way for them to provide feedback, or I guess most importantly, approval, is really what you're saying is really valuable. Fantastic. Well, I think the next slide is for you to really get us behind the scenes and show us how it all works. So please take us away.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna take us on over into Monday.com so we can see how this all works in person. So Here, what we're looking at is a listings board of houses that we have getting ready to go into market. They're getting ready to get listed. But before we are able to list them, we want to make sure that we have the assets that we need. So you can see here we have house 956 Houston Mill Road that's not ready to list. But if we open up our sub items here, we can see that we've already started creating some of those assets. And today we're going to go ahead and send our open house flyer through the proofing process. So you can see that we have some columns here in the sub items that we'll want to make sure that we have filled in. And because some of these items, some of these columns are going to be syncing with PageProof and communicating that data back and forth. So the ones that we really want to make sure that we have here are going to be working file. So that's going to be that file that we're ready to have people leave feedback on or approve. Our due date, this due date is going to then be taken into PageProof to make sure that we have a deadline for our proof. So we'll just go ahead and say that we need this by the 18th to be reviewed. And then these other columns that we see here that have a P in front of it, these are columns that we don't need to fill out because PageProof is actually going to fill these out for us as it's going through the proofing process, the proofing workflow. So once we have our working file here and our due date column filled in, we can then head over into the update section, head over to our PageProof item view here, and go ahead and create our proof. And again, that's going to grab the information that we have here in our columns as well as our file. Then we'll just go ahead and click create, and this will bring us now into PageProof so that we can finish setting up our proofing screen. You can see again, it did bring over information from Monday. So we have the name of the proof, which is the name of our sub item in Monday here. It has the, all these tags came from what the name of the actual image is. So the file name. We have our due date column that it pulled over here. And then from here, we can decide, do we want our reviewers to be able to download this proof, share that link? Do we want to turn on invisible comments? And then here to the right, we have where we actually set up our reviewers. So when we click on add review, we can either go ahead and start a fresh new workflow and manually input all of the emails and assign all the different roles that PageProof has to offer, or we can use a template that we previously had prepared that already has those emails and those roles templatized for us, therefore making it easier for us to either add anybody that we need to, remove anyone that we need to, or even just be able to update any of the roles. It's taking a second here to load. So there we go. So you can see that we have mandatory reviewers, so people that the proof won't move forward until these people have left their feedback. We have reviewers, so people that can just leave a comment, but we don't need them in order to move forward. And then you can see here, we even have our different groups in our workflows showing that first we're going to have our internal review, and then from there, we'll go to agent review, so on and so forth. Once we have all of that set up, we can also look at our owners. By default, whoever is the creator of the proof is also that owner, but we can always add. And then lastly, we have a checklist. So similar to having a template for our reviewer workflow, we can have here a template to make sure that people are looking at certain things and that they don't forget to look at that as they're going through. Once we have all of that, we'll go ahead and send proof. And as that is loading, I'm going to bring you over back into Monday, and you're going to see in real time our columns that had that P in front got filled in because our proof has now been created and PageProof was able to come and communicate over to Monday.
So those automations really save us a lot of time, but also concerns about doing it effectively, doing it the right way and not missing anything. That's really cool.
Yeah. It saves you also having to do double updates from both sides.
Oh yeah, good
which
point.
is really nice. So once we have our proof created, we can go ahead and now those that were in that first round in that internal review have been notified, hey, there is a proof ready for you to come and leave your comments on. And we can use the variety of different features that PageProof has. So we can go ahead and say, hey, we need to change this. And then we can leave our comment. to, change name to Golden Key. So that would be using the red pen tool. We also have where we can just leave a general comment to update address and things like that. And just leaving all of these comments, again, makes everything nice and neat, all in one place. People can even reply to these comments if they have any questions. And right now, everyone is able to see it, but we can make those private if we ever needed to. Once we have everything all nice and marked up, I can go ahead and say, okay, I either approve this, I can approve it as long as these changes that I said are made, or there's changes that need to be made. I want you to show me that before I approve anything. Once you have what you want selected, that's gonna then alert to be able to make those edits and do all those changes to whoever is that person that needs to be notified to make those changes. And so then from there, I'm going to do a little bit of a skip through so we don't have to wait for all of our approvers. But from there, we are then able to upload a new version and say, yes, I'm ready. Here are those changes. I can go ahead, drag in my new file. It'll bring you back into your original proof screen. But we can even say, internal saw this already. They approved with changes. So I actually want to start from the agents to be able to review, and then we can start from there. But then we'll just go ahead and upload that new version. Again, while that's loading, going back into Monday, you can see again, everything has updated. I now see 2 versions. This, if you were quick to see, the changes went from awaiting new version to now in proofing. So again, keeping everything updated for us on the Monday side. And now we can see all those changes, review our second version. And if we forgot, what was it that I had asked to change, or what changes were actually made, we can even use comparison tools that are in Monday or in PageProof. This is another feature that Monday doesn't really have, so that we can see those differences side by side, making it easier for us to say, yes, this is exactly what I want. I'm going to go ahead and approve this. I'm going to go approved. There we go. So now I'm actually going to go in and say approve proof for everyone, so I don't have to wait on anybody else. I got my little confetti, and now I can go back into Monday. I see that that's approved, and that final approved file is now in my final file column as well. So that's one less thing that I have to worry about manually updating.
That's so cool. I would imagine just some of the side benefits of this also is as a contributor, right? As somebody who's maybe putting together the creative, I can go through my previous revisions and feedback that I received from those that I'm waiting approval for, and learn that client, if you will, learn their style a little bit, so that when I create the next assets for them, I know what they're looking for. I have a better kind of tune into their mindset. I would also imagine that kind of on the other end of all of this is, I briefly mentioned this earlier, accountability, right? Giving your organization the ability to say, hey, what did we do on this? How do we arrive at this point? Well, we can see all the records, if you will, the account activity, I suppose, is the way to say it. But also, some of these items that we're proofing here are recurring items, whether it's a holiday party or something to do with a July 4th sale or whatever the scenario might be. So being able to have those assets there with the approval history must make it so much easier for them to replicate it in that next year, right? So a good starting point, I guess, is what I would guess.
Yeah, because you'll still be able to see all of your different versions, see all of the comments that were originally made on the proof. So you don't lose any of that even when the proof has been finalized.
That's great.
You can always come back and reference it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. So we frequently, get a number of questions that we might ask. I don't know if in the chat anyone has asked any questions.
Let's go with some of the questions that have come in, that have not come in, but what we've put together here, just some of the common questions that we receive.
Yeah. So one of the common ones is, can I integrate Monday with Photoshop? The answer is, while you can't integrate Monday with Photoshop, you can integrate PageProof with Photoshop.
Hmm.
And you can pull up those proofs straight in Photoshop, straight in Adobe. You'll be able to see the comments. You can even upload a new version straight from there. So a lot of designers, I know they tend to stay in Adobe, in Photoshop, so they'd be able to see all of that without really necessarily having to go into PageProof. So you're indirectly connecting Photoshop to Monday using PageProof as that connection.
And what's cool about that is it gives the designer a place where they feel comfortable and smooth, like you're mentioning here, staying in Photoshop, and it gives the responsible parties a way to track the work that's being done and approvals, as you obviously just laid out here. So everybody's kind of being catered to in that respect,
Yeah.
right? So it's easier for them to move forward. It's not another program for them to learn and so on. Got it.
Yep, exactly. Another question that we get a lot is, can we keep agents updated when their property marketing assets are, how can we keep agents updated? So there's various ways that you can do it. Whether you can have your agents really just focus in on the Monday side, share that view that shows them the status of where everything is at. Because if they don't necessarily need to be leaving comments on the proof, we can keep them updated by just bringing them over into our Monday board and tagging them on those, assigning them on those items that they need to worry about. But that doesn't mean that we aren't able to also just have them in our proof as a viewer or even as a reviewer, so that they can also just keep extra eyes on that proof if they would like.
That's great. Again, just catering to the right audience, right? Whether they are view only or actively involved with it, awareness is so important, right? Just to see that their project is being worked on, they can see the updates, prevents a lot of, what I find Monday does just across the board is it prevents a lot of frustration, and it serves as a single source of truth, right? A place where everybody knows, hey, whatever Monday says is right, and everything else might not be current. So Monday is, again, that tool that we're always looking to. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yep. Another question that we get: do agents or team members need PageProof accounts to view progress in Monday? No. So those that need to have access into PageProof are really going to be those that are creating the proofs. Anybody who is more of a reviewer or a viewer on these proofs, they do not need to have a PageProof account. They can just stay in Monday because, again, since we have PageProof communicating into Monday, they'll be able to keep up to date with the status by just referencing the PageProof status column and know where everything is at. Therefore, saving you a seat on one side or just having less logins for people to have to go to
Yep.
and manage.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it's always a question that comes up when seats or licenses are concerned, right? What is required and what can be done. So it's good to see that there's that level of flexibility so that all the proper constituents can be made aware of what's going on without incurring additional costs. Very cool. So I know what's going to come next, and that is our bonus tip. So we always want to wrap up our webinars with something that really drives home what gets us all excited here about Monday.com, and of course, in this case, the focus on PageProof. So what's the big reveal?
So our bonus tip is going back into that final file column on the Monday side. While PageProof can upload and make sure that that approved file is the one that gets uploaded on here, that doesn't mean that it won't be easy for somebody to accidentally come in and delete that proof or upload a second one. So going into Monday and going into your column permissions and setting it so that you're restricting column editing to those that are not board owners will help bring that risk down of somebody accidentally putting in the wrong thing or deleting something that we don't want to be deleted. So that is my little bonus tip there, just to make sure that everyone is still on the same page. There's no confusion there.
It's great. So as much as I've been harping on giving the right people access and view and really keep awareness, right? What you're bringing out here is the other side of that coin, which is, well, if everybody has access, then they can stick their fingers in it and make a mess of it. So obviously, what you're sharing here is no, that's not the case. And really, that's a broader message on what Monday allows for is an enormous amount of flexibility based on how your organization is set up and what your goals are. And I just want to thank you so much, Natalia, for sharing all this information today. This is exactly what we find customers of ours of all sizes really appreciate about working with Purple Plum, working with Monday.com, and working with PageProof is an experience and, yes, I would say expertise that allows us to not only complete a project list, but really look at the goals of our customers and help them execute on it, whether it's in a phased approach or doing everything all at once. We work alongside almost like a coworker might to make sure that the sum of their parts are more valuable than the individual pieces. So, Natalia, thank you so much for this very detailed, a lot of information to be really processed here. And I want to thank everybody for joining in today's session. If you have any additional questions, want to ideate with myself or our team, our contact information is on the screen right now. Feel free to call me, email me, or otherwise, and we'll see you at the next session. Thank you all so much.